titled How to Customize Your Chat Widget to Make It Look Attractive on Your Website. Now, this is something that a lot of people have asked us several times. So, we have taken this up based on customer request. SalesIQ, as you know, consists of two different modules or capabilities. One is the ability to track visitors, what they do on your website, what they're looking at on your website, the repeat visits, and so on. The other aspect is the engagement, the live engagement aspect that allows you to message visitors on the live chat window based on your preferences, based on what they're doing, based on the page they're on, the time they've spent, and so on. It also allows the visitors a way to get in contact with you, get in touch with you, speak to you, get support, and interact with your staff. So it's a two-way engagement that allows both your staff to reach out to website visitors as well as the website visitors to contact you, whether you're online, whether you're offline. It allows two-way engagement. So something like the live chat window that's going to be present on almost all the pages of your website sure deserves more attention. Of course, you have spent a lot of time improving the visuals on your website, making it look attractive and easy to use. So obviously, the chat window too should be aesthetically pleasing to look at, be easy to use for your website visitors, and you should be able to edit and configure it to suit different requirements. Some people would want to collect certain data that other people may not. So we have made the chat window pretty flexible and we have evolved it over a period of time. And a few months ago, we have completely revamped the appearance of the chat window. And with it, we have added several new capabilities to it. Most existing users of SalesIQ who have been using it for years or several months are not familiar with this new capability, with this new layout. So this will be a learning opportunity for you to explore those areas and see which ones would be a good idea to put on your website and which ones you can make use of to improve the success rate of the chat widget. Do understand that the chat widget performs a very crucial role on your website. Yes, there is a contact us page that people can leave a message for you or dial a number to contact you, even if it's toll free. But for instantaneous connection, a lot of us prefer live chat. We have seen that at Zoho itself. Even though we offer toll free support on the telephone as well as email support, people prefer to use the live chat because it's very quick. You just need to click a couple of buttons and start the chat and be able to interact with anybody on the other side. It's quick, and that's the beauty behind live chat capability. So it's like you could say the fast food type quick delivery platform for businesses. So what exactly are we going to cover in this 30-minute webinar? Remember that I will be taking your questions at the end of this webinar, so you can keep asking them at any time. Of course, I will not be able to answer them during the webinar, but I will do that once the webinar completes. Every single question will be answered, no matter how long it takes. So whenever you see a slide and you have a question, ask them on this live chat, on the chat capability that you see on the webinar. And one kind request, please restrict your questions to the topic of discussion for today. Any other questions, I will tell you how to reach out to our support team so we can answer them at any time. We're available 24 hours on all weekdays. So how exactly are we going to customize the chat widget on your website? We're going to see that today. So the agenda for today, the first part of the agenda is, of course, to choose different color palettes from the available choices. If you notice, the old chat widget that you had before had a bluish green tint to it. And the new one, once activated, had a pure green color tint to it. So the question we obviously get asked very often is how to change this color and where are the color customization options? What degree of color changes are permitted? Do you offer a set of fixed colors that we have to choose from, or any color available can be chosen based on a color code or by pointing it on a screen or something like that? So we're going to look at those things, the very basic aspects of customizing the chat widget, which is the color. And of course, the next most asked question are the fields on the pre-chat form. If you noticed on the live chat window on your website, there will be a name, there will be an email address, and there will be a question or message field. This is the default layout. You activate the chat window, these three fields show up. So there are certain occasions where a visitor starts a chat, but you don't know who they are because they do not provide their name and email, even though those fields are available. So how do you force visitors to enter their email address? So you have a way to contact them later, and you have a way to add them to your CRM as a lead or contact. So that is one thing. And there are situations where you want their phone number, you want something else like zip code or what product they're interested in. So many other possibilities. So we're going to look at how to customize and set up different fields on the pre-chat form of your sales IQ. So you can collect the necessary data from your website visitors. And if you notice the chat window when you're away from SalesIQ, that is outside your office working hours, you would notice that it displays an offline message, something on the lines of "We are not available right now. You can leave us a message, and we will get back to you." This is the gist of the message that's shown. Some people want to customize that to show something else, like how long it would take for them to get back to you with a response, or when you can reach them live, so they want to state their office business hours. So if you don't want to leave them a message, you can come back the next day during those business hours and message them. In other cases, they want to mention different things, like if it's an emergency, dial this number, and so on. So different messages need to be shown on that window, for instance. And there are also other cases where when the chat starts, you want to give them an automatic welcome greeting. Something like, "Hey there, welcome to the support team. How can we help you?" Or something like, "Hey there, I will be with you right in a moment." So this automatic message buys you a few extra seconds, maybe as much as a couple of minutes. So as soon as you answer the chat, maybe on your mobile, you're walking from one room in your office to another. It could be on your computer, you're already speaking to multiple customers. So this buys you some extra time to be able to read the question the visitor has sent you, because the visitor is reading this message, and since this welcome message is sent under your name, they know it's come from you, so they're going to give you a couple of minutes to process the question and be able to answer. So little tricks here and there that improve the overall interaction experience that the visitors on your website have with you. And next, there is something called the signature chat for all the emails that you send out from your personal email services like Zoho Mail, Gmail, Yahoo, and so on. Most people don't seem to be aware that this capability even exists. So we have revamped even its appearance as well as part of this chat window appearance revamp, and we're going to show you how to use that. It's a pretty cool trick that you can use to communicate with people, and we're going to introduce you to that. If you're familiar with this capability, if you've already used this before, we're going to show you how to use the updated version. And yes, we are also going to talk about the new capabilities that have been added to this latest version of the chat window that didn't exist earlier. So you're going to see all those new capabilities to see how you can improve the chat widget based on all these capabilities that we have given to you. So these 5 things are broadly what we're going to cover in the next 25 minutes. So please keep your questions coming and I will answer them towards the end of the session. So, of course, the chat window, the legacy chat window, the old version of the chat window that's been there for several years since it was first introduced. older users of SalesIQ and people who have been with us for at least a year or more would be very familiar with this chat widget that you see on the screen at the bottom right. So it's pretty boxy, as you would say. When it was introduced, it was pretty straightforward. It was small, it was compact, and you could open it. It has this very minimalistic design. It loaded quickly, and it didn't have many things to load, basically. So it loaded quickly, it didn't take a toll on your website. And people weren't particularly concerned about the graphics because most of the websites this chat widget was on was also built on basic HTML. So you didn't have many fancy themes. So the websites themselves didn't look as graphically amazing as they look today. So technology has improved in the past 2 3 years since the chat widget was introduced, and much sharper looking images are loading faster on websites. So it's possible to have even a video running on your homepage without taking more than a second or two. So when that has happened, we obviously had to update our chat widget and move away from this boxy appearance to nice curves and sharper images. And one good advantage of the new chat widget versus the old one that you're seeing on the screen now is that we have optimized all the graphics and the images that load, such as the user's image when you're interacting with them, in such a way that it loads significantly faster on your website than the old chat widget. The old chat widget itself took up very less space and was always designed to load only after the rest of your website has finished loading. So that way it didn't interrupt the loading process of your website. It didn't slow it down. So the same principle continues, except that we have speeded up the load time even faster by compressing a lot of things as much as possible. And the number of times the chat window had to connect to our server to update different things has been radically reduced as well. So technically it's called caching. So we have done that. So all this has improved the chat widget's overall load time. So it's not just an aesthetic overall, it's not just the visuals that we have updated, it's also the performance. So just to give you an idea of how the chat widget, the old chat widget looks, I have here a sample website, and you can see at the bottom right corner the default bluish green color for this chat widget. So you click that, and this window came up. This was a slightly updated view. So it was an improvement over what you see here. But still, although this window was fine, it was this boxy widget that bothered a lot of people. So when compared to that, if you look at the new chat widget on this demo website, you can see that here at the bottom right. This is just one of the many themes that we have. So I'm just going with the default one. We will be showing you all the other themes that are available. So if you click this, you can see the chat widget and also how quickly it minimizes and loads. And you can also see the banner that announces your presence or your absence when you're away. So significant improvement over the old chat widget. So updating your existing chat widget to the old version. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If you're an existing SalesIQ user and would like to update your SalesIQ's appearance to match the new one, this is what you do. The first thing you would do is log into your SalesIQ account. And remember, only an administrator can make these changes. So if you're not, you must ask the administrator of your account or any other administrator level user to do these things. So you go to settings on the top left, on the left corner here. And under settings, you need to go to websites. This again is an important point of contention. This particular section was earlier called Web Embed, and we have done away with that technical name and we have introduced this word called websites. So we're still in the process of updating our help documents and references to the old section called Web Embed. So wherever you see Web Embed on the help document or on old posts that were made on our blogs and so on, remember that we are actually referring to websites now. So under websites, you're going to choose your website, whatever the name your website is. Just created a bunch here, just so you could know that you need to generate a new code for each of your website. So if you're an existing SalesIQ user and you click the website listed here, this is what you're going to see on uh, the window. So this is the old chat widget customization screen that allows you to customize different things. You would have seen this several times. But what we have done here is we have added this new banner that informs you or notifies you about this chat widget capability, the new layout. So, two things. First, you have to activate the new appearance. I will be showing you how to do that. And second, the chat widget code on your website itself has changed. So whatever code that you have on your website, if you're an old user and the chat widget on your website looks something like this, you need to remove this old Sales IQ code and replace it with the new one that will be given to you. Now, so I will show you where to get the code, the new code, but you have to make sure that the old code snippet is removed from your website. If you have a web developer here, I will show you how to send the new code to him so your IT guy can remove the old one and replace it with the new one. So once you go to settings, websites, click the name of your website there and see this banner. All you have to do is click this button that says try now, and you will be given this warning screen that talks about how you need to replace the code on your website for the change to actually take effect. So you need to click try now. So once you do that, I'm not going to do it here. I'm going to go back to another place where I've already done that. So as soon as I click try now and I click agree on the warning screen, immediately my chat widget customization screen will change to this. Remember how this chat widget screen looked? All these different things. All of this will be replaced with just these four simple boxes. I will be coming back to explain about all these four later in the session. But all you need to do is once you have done that and this version changes to this layout where you have the four different boxes, all you have to do is click add. Remember that if you plan on using only visitor tracking or live chat, or both as we would recommend, you still have to click this second box alone. Earlier, we had a separate code for only tracking website visitors and a separate code for both tracking and chat together. So there were two different codes. But now we have a single code. So obviously, the question you would be asking is if the code is the same, then why do you have two boxes? The answer is this little, almost easy to miss I symbol that you see on the top. So before I tell you what that does, I'll show you where to get the code. So you just click the live chat widget box and you see the code here. So this is the new updated code. It's encrypted. All the contents, anything that can reveal your account information, they've all been encrypted. So nobody looking at it will understand anything. It's also been optimized to load faster, like we discussed. So this is the code. So what if you don't want to use the chat widget? You want to use only the tracking capability on your website. Maybe you want to turn it on after a while, something like that. In that case, what you do is you just click this I symbol and you can see the message on the top that talks about how the chat widget has been disabled and only the visitor tracking capability will continue. So this capability has been turned off. So just clicking this will turn it back on. There are rare situations where you want to turn off tracking on your website. Maybe you're going to be away on Thanksgiving holidays or July the 4th or any other period of extended absence where you will not be able to track your website visitors and you want to turn it off, or any other reason you can think of. Just click this eye symbol on visitor tracking and it turns off the tracking capability. So the reason we have given you these two boxes is simply to be able to control which of the two you want to turn off. But the code is the same. You click visitor tracking, you will find this code here. You click live chat, you're going to find the same code here. And the same code does both tracking and chat together. There's no need to paste both the codes because they are just the same. You will be only duplicating it. So now that we know where to copy the code from, we're going to talk about how to put it on the website very briefly. If you have the habit of doing it on your own, just copy it, replace the old code with this one, and you're done. If you have a web developer or an IT team in your company that takes care of the website, just click this button that says send instructions to webmaster and enter his or her email address and the entire code that needs to be added to the website, as well as detailed instructions. They're all here. So this email will tell them what to do. You can probably just add a note somewhere here saying that the old code needs to be removed, just so in case you haven't spoken to them. So once you have done that, the code will reach them and they will put it on the website, and that will complete the integration. So these four boxes, we have seen what the first two do. We will come back to the other two a little later. So the other aspect that we discussed in the agenda, that is to customize the different fields that appear on the pre-chat form of your chat window so that you can control what kind of data from your website visitors you're going to get. So this data is very crucial. The more you know about your website visitors, the more chances you have of closing a deal with them or closing more deals with them. So people are not going to just walk into your website identifying themselves or broadcasting their identity with a sticker. You'll have to get it from them. And one of the easiest ways of doing it is through the chat widget. So what kind of data you get is important. And at the same time, you cannot ask them to fill a dozen or half a dozen fields because that's going to drive them away. Nobody's going to do all that to ask a simple question. So you have to strike a fine balance between asking the right information and not asking anything at all and risk not knowing anything about your website visitors. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how to do that. So you, just in case you are just joining in, I just want to recap as to how you can customize the chat widget's appearance. Changing the color or changing the fields and the information on them, all of that can be done by going to settings, websites, clicking on the name of your website, whichever one that is. In this case, I'm clicking the first one. Now you choose live chat widget. Pretty much everything that you have to do with the live chat widget is under this module. So you can pretty much ignore this one. So under this, on the top left, you can see two different fields. One says widget. This allows you to customize the appearance of the chat widget while the chat widget is minimized. So this is the chat widget in a minimized state. And if you click that, it expands into the chat window. The chat widget becomes the chat window. So widget controls how it looks here. We're going to explore all these different things here later. But the chat window is where you customize how it looks when you open it. So briefly, you would notice that under both widget and chat window, there's a section called appearance. And by scrolling down, you go to this section where you can pick different colors. So whatever color you want, you just click that and you press update. The chat window on your website will immediately change. So what if you want a completely different color? What if the background on your website is of a color that is not available here? Does that mean you cannot change to that color? Absolutely not. What we have given here is the rainbow palette of colors. So all the commonly used colors people prefer are listed here. But if you're a little picky, don't worry, we've got that covered. You just have to click this rectangular box next to this option that says pick a different color. So once you click that, you can see this little this little window come up. So I'm just dragging it to this place so you can see it clearly. So you're just going to use your mouse pointer and choose different colors, and you can see the color change. You can also control their intensity. You can also, if you know their names very well, you could do that. Well, with me, I can just probably tell you half a dozen names. Beyond that, I'm just lost. But if you are good with names, you can do that. And we have a whole list of color possibilities. So, like, you can just hover over them. You can see what the name is as well. But let's just say that you don't know what exact color that's there on the website. For example, let's just close this. So you can see this color here in the background on the right side. It looks like pink, but it's not exactly pink, because if that was pink, what would you call this? So you would probably ask a web developer as to what color this particular shade is, or this one on the left, whichever one you want, and they'll give you a color code, something like this. So it's usually alphanumeric, so numbers and alphabets. What you do is you just click this little box here, go to the second window, okay, on the top, and here you have an option to enter the color code. And if you want to pick the color yourself, there are several free websites on the internet, such as this one, HTML color codes, where you can simply hover your mouse pointer and leave it somewhere, and it gives you the color code here. So you can just combine different color shades, and you can click that and enter them here. So that will change. Just canceling this for now. So we're just looking only on the color customization options for now. So once you have customized the chat widget's color when it's minimized, you obviously have to control how it looks when it's maximized or expanded. You don't want two contrasting colors. You can add them if you want, but if you like to match them, then you need to go to chat window under widget here, click appearance, and just repeat the process. So whatever the color option that you want, you choose from here or pick one from here. And once you update the changes, you will see them on the preview here. If you want, you can also take a look at how it's going to look on a mobile device. You have the preview option here, and it's showing how the chat widget looks on a mobile device. So the preview option is even available here. So for this coin theme, if you click the mobile view, it's going to show how it looks on the mobile device. And you can also see how it's going to look when you're online or offline. So you know exactly what your website visitors do. You can do all those preview things. Yeah. And in some cases, you might think, well, see, there's a blank white page behind the chat widget. That doesn't really tell me much. I want to see exactly how it looks on the website. And I want to see it before I change the code on the website. So if you're not ready to put it on the website and test it, then there's a very simple way. Just click this option at the bottom that says View Live Chat Widget on your website, and if you click that, it's going to ask you for your website URL, and when you enter that, it's going to show that on that particular website. Of course, we have blocked that capability on the Zoho website because we don't want other people doing it. But whatever your website is, just enter the correct URL. You will see your website in the background, just like the original website. And in this animation, we just add the chat widget capability before that. So you're going to see exactly how it looks on the website before you save the changes, and it shows up on the website. So that's a very easy and convenient way to test out things before they go live. So that's the color customization options that I promised to go over briefly. And remember, we were talking about the information that you can collect from website visitors through the pre-chat form. So where do you do that? Again, under websites, that is settings, websites, click the name of your website, live chat widget, go directly to chat window. So we were looking at this field called appearance under chat window, but this time you click this one, fields. So here, if you look at it, we have given you three different options here, basically, and one additional option for the newsletter subscription that you see at the bottom. So let's say you want to add the phone number field. So you can see on this chat widget, the name and email address field is there, but you want to remove the name field and replace it with the phone number field, we can do that. So I'm just going to click remove from here. You can see it's gone, and it's showing you how the chat widget will look without the name field. Now I'm going to add the phone number field, and you can see that information here. So once you hover your mouse pointer over that field, you can see there's an option that allows you to make the field compulsory or mandatory. So what that means is a visitor will not be able to dodge inputting their information here and start a chat with you. So you will definitely have their email address and their phone number as soon as they start the chat, so you can identify who they are and continue the conversation accordingly. So all these different fields that you want to customize and add, you can do them here. If you want to remove the newsletter field, you can do that. So all those different options, you can do that. And this is before the chat happens. That's why we call it the pre-chat form. And you can also customize what happens after the chat. So two things happen after the chat. One is the ability to rate the chat conversation and the user. So you can see these two options. The first thing the visitor will be asked to do after the chat is to give a star rating and enter a feedback. If you think there's no need for a feedback, you can just turn it off, and whatever option they have given, whatever option rating they have given, that shows up there, and you can see that here. And the rest of the chat conversation that you had with them, it shows up here. So that's pretty straightforward. You can see how the thing looks on the mobile device and so on. So there are different preview options available for you. So we have seen how to add some fields like name, email, phone number, and so on. So the question that people ask us is, can we add something that isn't there? Like there is no phone number. What if there is uh, other information that we need apart from phone number, name, and email? Can we do that? So that's what we're going to talk about in these custom fields. First, I'm going to tell you what's possible, and then I'm going to tell you how to do it. So a drop-down field with multiple options or multiple selections is one of the options. So here's a preview. So you can see this animation here where we have a drop-down that says something on the lines of choose your travel destination. You can add anything else there, like enter the course that you prefer at the university or something like that. Anything that you want. There's no restrictions on the number of options that you want to have there, but we would advise that you keep it to the bare minimum as possible, because you don't want the visitors to scroll down through a list of dozen different options and not knowing which one to click. So as the visitor enters their details, they will have this drop down field, and whatever information they choose there will be shown to the agents on the chat window. So here you have an example of a chat conversation. I'm just going to manually pull up something. So here's the chat widget. So you can see some information on the right. Just between this URL and this title Zoho CRM info, you will see whatever information the visitor chose. So in this case, let's say the visitor chose Paris. That's going to show up here along with the title. That is, choose the destination and Paris. So when your agent is chatting with this visitor, they know which destination they are interested in. So even if the visitor wasn't particularly clear with that in their questions, the agent doesn't have to ask them this question, because it's easier for a visitor to choose an option on the chat window than to type it out and having to explain it. So the context of the overall conversation is something your agent will have. And you can also map this data to Zoho CRM. So when this person is added as a lead, as you can see here, in Zoho CRM, if you have a dedicated custom field with the same name, something like preferred travel destination or something, uh, wherever you want to show them, let's say instead of number of employees, you want to show that field here. You can do that, and whatever data the visitor chose on the chat window will show up here automatically. So it's that simple. Just create a custom field here with the same name as on the chat window, and whatever data the visitor provides will be pushed there. So this is one. The second option is to have fields that permit only text or only numbers, or anything else, anything where a visitor has to type in data. So here's a sample of the chat window. So you can see the name, you can see the email address, but you can see two more fields. So one is company name. You can probably restrict it to only alphabets if you want to, so people don't enter anything else. And the next is zip code. So zip code, you can restrict it to be a numeral only field, so people can only enter numbers. So nothing like dots, or not applicable na or any other alphabets, to just get away from giving the correct zip code. So by mandating the field to only contain numerals, you can force them to enter only that data on the chat widget. So how exactly do you add these fields? It's done through an API, which is basically a bit of code. So we have given you information on all of this under the SalesIQ's website. So just go to our website, which is zoho.com/SalesIQ, and click the resources tab on the top right corner. And once you have done that, go to the developer section and scroll down to the section called JavaScript APIs. If you go to API documentation, you find all the customizations that are possible with SalesIQ that is not already given to you as an option on the dashboard. So here, if you go to custom APIs, you can go through the entire documentation needed to create a new field on the chat window. So all the things that you see here were possible because a brief code was added to the website, and the code allowed us to add whatever field that we wanted. And it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's a very, very easy to implement concept. If you have difficulties doing that, please contact the support team. We have a few templates. You could probably even tell us what fields you want to create, and we will accordingly give you the code. So all you have to do is just copy paste it on the website. But if you have a very good IT team or a set of web developers, or you like coding yourself, you can just take a look at this. We have given you all the information that's needed as well as an example. So you can just pattern your customization based on that. So it's pretty simple to create additional fields on the chat window that we haven't given in the user interface. Because the requests we get are so varied and complex, we weren't able to provide this as an option in the chat, in the customization screen itself on your sales IQ. So some of these options are rarely used. We normally don't get too many people wanting an extra field on the chat window. So since it's on a on-demand basis, if you will, that is why we are, not yet offering a direct way to do it. But don't worry, you don't have to know coding to do this. Like I said, you can contact our support team, tell us what fields you need to create. We will give you an appropriate code. Just paste that on your website. It's just a copy paste job. It's very easy to do. So we move on to the next capability, the signature chat capability. So that's something that you will be able to see here. Remember, we talked about 4 different boxes under settings websites. We covered 2 of them. We spoke about what they do. I said I'll get back to the other 2, and one of those 2 is this, the signature chat capability, which says live chat for emails. So when you send out emails to different people in your company and outside, the only way they can normally get back to you is to reply to that email. And when they reply to your email, it's possible that you may not be in your office, especially if you're operating in a different time zone. Or maybe you stepped outside for a meeting or something like that. And in other cases, there is the possibility where the person responds to an email, but you get the response, but you're not in a position to reply to them right away because there are just so many emails coming and you don't pay attention. You reply to them later. So that is why emails, although faster than snail mail or postal mails, still take time to get a response. That is where live chat comes in. People can visit your website, do a live chat with you, and get the information. But what about people who don't have to come to your website, who are only receiving your emails? How do you connect them to the chat widget on your website so without coming to your website, they can actually chat with you? That is what this capability does. So there's a little button or a widget, if you would, that you can add to your email signature. So apart from mentioning your name, your company's designation, the logo, a shortcut to the Facebook page, the website, and all those things, you can put this below them. It simply says something like chat with us or contact me or different things. Anybody who clicks that on receiving your email will be taken to your website's chat window on a different tab. And although they're not directly taken to your website, the chat window will be there. They can type the questions, and instead of going back and forth over the email, the conversation will be brief and you can conclude it over a live chat. So that's what signature chat capability does. And here's an example. So here you can see there is a signature that says regards Patricia and the website name. Below that, we have added one of these many themes that are available for the signature chat. So this is what the appearance looks like on your side when you send out an email. And once the email is sent, this is something what it would look like. So here you have the old preview in the previous screen. So you click this little button, it opens up this chat window where you can enter the information. Whatever information that's entered will directly connect you to the staff on your website. So you may have sent an email to a customer and they may have questions when they reply back to you. You may not be at your desk. But with this option, it's possible for them to connect over live chat with one of your colleagues or staff or support team and get an answer nevertheless. So they don't have to Google your website, find it, locate it, and then understand that there is a live chat capability. This allows them to start a conversation right from the email inbox. So that's a quick way to connect. So how do you set this up? Go to this fourth box that talks about live chat for emails, and we have two different live signature chat. One is a generic one that says something like chat with us in different color combinations. This, when you start a chat, it connects or rather notifies every member in your company. So if there are five of you on SalesIQ, it notifies all of them, even though the email was sent by you. So in some cases, in larger organizations, this becomes essential because you send out so many emails, you cannot be around to reply to them right away. So in that case, you can go with the first option. For smaller companies, if you want the chat to come directly back to you and only you, not your colleagues, then you can go with the second one. So I'm just going to go with the first one, which is used more. So you can see different combinations here. So the chat button, you see two of them because the first one is online or when the chat is online. The second one is when it's offline. So different options are available. So you just choose whichever one you want, and then you copy the code and insert it in the email signature. So if you're using Zoho Mail, Desk, Gmail, Outlook, any bunch of email services, whichever one that is, just click one of these links. It will take you to the help page that shows you exactly how to insert this code as a signature and add it to your email template. So any future email that you send will have this quick shortcut for people to chat with you. So it's again pretty simple to set up. And once you do it, you will notice that the live chat response rates go up because the website is not the only way where people can chat with you now. So, themes, different new themes for your website. So it's not just one or two themes that we have released, there's a bunch of them. We're going to look at those. I'm sure you're excited. So we go back to the live chat widget section that we were on earlier. You click that and you click widget, and under appearance you can see the default one that I'm using on the website now. So this is the circular coin theme, if you will. But if you can just click this little arrow here, you can see different options. A whole lot of customization options are available. You can choose any one of them, modify the color, modify the appearance. You can do a whole lot of things. I'm just going to choose this, for example. And if I go to the website and refresh it, whatever option that I chose here will show up. In this case, I've chosen pink color, but depending on whichever color that you choose here, this appearance will also change. So you can see this here. So it's updated on the website already. Click this and it opens up the same chat window, but of course this is much more attractive. There are different themes available, so you can choose any one of them. Just so many of them available, some of them with lots of graphics and sharper images, some of them a more minimalistic appearance, and so on. So you can choose any one of those options. And for the chat window again, for now we have only one theme, which is this rectangular chat window, but we're in the process of adding more. So even this chat widget's appearance is completely changeable. Apart from the color, you can still add many more things very soon. So some of the new updates that are available on this chat widget that weren't available earlier, we're going to take a look at them. So the first option is something called the button chat widget. This, to be honest, was there earlier, but not with the full capability that we have given it now. So what does the button chat widget do and what does it look like? So here's an example. This is the McDonald's website, the McDonald's international website. So if you're into fast food, you obviously know who they are. Even if you don't like burgers, you still know who they are. It's a very famous company and a restaurant chain. So this is their contact us page. You can see there are links to different places. And I want you to concentrate at the bottom right corner that talks about customer service and gives you an option to contact them. So at the moment, what it does is if you click this particular piece of text, it just opens up a window where you can send them an email. Not particularly fast for a fast food chain, don't you think? So certainly people would want a much faster way to communicate. So what happens if you use an embeddable chat widget? Remember, in this case, the floating chat widget, as we would call this, floats up and down. So whichever part of the website you're on, you go up, you go down, you're in the middle of the page, the chat widget scrolls up and down with you. In some cases, you may not want to do that. You want to have the chat widget in one particular place, a designated area where people can click it and chat with you. So if you don't want this floating tab chat widget, you can go with the button chat widget. And how does the button chat widget look? Something like this. So here you can see the text, the piece of text has been replaced with the SalesIQ live chat button. So it's a rectangular button here. There are again several themes available. In this case, what happens is instead of opening up an email service like what they have, it opens up the SalesIQ chat widget and it allows people to quickly communicate. So how do you use it or how do you set it up? You go once again to websites, live chat widget, and click widget. Under widget, you have three different options. So you just click the second one that says button. And once you choose button, you can exactly position the chat widget button anywhere on your website, wherever you deem it necessary. So this is just one example. In this case, they may have hidden the chat widget on the rest of the website because otherwise there will be just too many chats to handle because these are high traffic websites and they have put the chat widget only in one place. So if you are planning to do something like that, then the button chat widget is very convenient. And the next capability is the personalized chat widget. So for smaller companies where there are few people who do lots of things, like a startup, for instance, you want people to know who they are chatting with before they start the chat. So basically, if they want to connect to a marketing expert or a sales expert, or maybe even directly message the CEO who's available for chat, they can choose which of these people they want to communicate with. As of now, if you see the way SalesIQ is set up is you have a generic chat widget, you fill up the information, and all the users inside that account get notified. Anyone can answer. So from the visitor's perspective, there is no way to confirm that we, they will be speaking to a particular user. So the personalized chat widget takes care of that. What it does is, here you have an example. So this is how it's going to look. If you look closely, you can see that the chat widgets look like a pile or a stack of cards. You can see more windows behind it. There's a reason behind that. So what happens is when you click this window, any one of them, it expands to show you more. So it could be just two windows at a time or three windows at a time. That's up to you. In this company, there are four people available for chat. So there are three windows and one more is hidden. So if you click the button at the bottom right that says one more, where my mouse pointer is, it opens up the fourth one as well by scrolling to the left. So the first chat widget that as the user David will be hidden, and the second and third will be there, and the fourth one you just clicked on would now take the place where the third user Ben Strokes is. So the user can choose which the visitor can choose which user they want to chat with. So you can go through their bio or their introduction, look at their designation, their specialty in the company, and chat only with that user. Any chat started with that user after clicking the chat button there will open up this chat widget. And this chat widget will collect whatever information you want them to give you. And the chat goes directly only to that specific user. Nobody else gets that. And if that user fails to answer it, it goes back to the previous screen where the visitor can choose a different user to chat with, or in this case, maybe leave them a message instead if they're very particular about who they want to talk with. So that's the personalized chat widget. Again, you customize that by going to settings, websites. Instead of button, you choose personalized. And as soon as you do that and update it, things will change on your website right away. No need to replace the code. So before we wind up, there's just one last thing I want to show you, which is to edit all the display messages shown in different places on the chat widget. So what are those things? For instance, when the frequent question we get asked is, this piece of text on the banner that says we are online, how may I help you? Some people want to change that. They want to say something else instead. So where do you change that? Go to widget, click content, and here you have the option to customize the color. So you can see the preview here. We're online, whatever text that's typed here, you can see it's changing on the preview on the right side as I'm making the changes, just canceling them. And another capability that's added to the chat widget is the font matching. So whatever font that seems to be the default font on your website, that is all the text on the website is under that font. SalesIQ detects that automatically, and the chat widget's font automatically changes to match that. So it won't be a sore thumb sticking out, looking different, but it tries to match or sync with what's there on your website. You don't have to do anything to do this. The font automatically matches. But there are situations where you do want it to be different, in which case, again, you come down to content and here you choose a different font. If you leave it at auto, like I said, it's going to choose the font that's been applied to your website and automatically change to it, but you can choose any other font. For the moment, we have stuck to only three of them, three commonly used ones. We haven't given any really fancy stuff because that might be a little unorthodox for now, but we will definitely be adding more. So it's up to you to create whatever font appearance that you want on the chat widget. But we would recommend auto because that makes sure that everything looks to be part of the same website. It looks homogeneous. It doesn't stick out as the odd one out. So that is something you can customize here under widget and content. So this display banner can be customized here. The other messages, such as the messages that people get as soon as the chat starts. So you can see the visitor has typed a question on the top in the preview on the right side that says something like, I need invoice for my upgrade kit. So as soon as they type that and one of your users answer it, this particular welcome message, whatever it is, will be sent to the visitor right away and automatically. So while the visitor is reading that, you can see it's been sent under the name of the agent or the associate. So it's going to look like you sent it, and it's going to buy you some time to look at this data, the question, and then pull up the relevant data from your records and be ready with an answer soon. So it's basically a very effective delaying tactic to buy you time to do different things. And the thank you message is something that's going to be shown to a website visitor as soon as the chat ends. So when the visitor ends the chat or you end the chat, this banner is going to scroll down from the top and say something like, you know, it was my pleasure, or let's meet again, different things that you want. So you can also scroll down and click this option, show more, which allows you to customize other things. For example, the waiting message is something that you can show to website visitors as soon as they start the chat. So to give you an example, let's take this chat widget and I fill up all the information here and press start chat at the bottom. It's going to kickstart a countdown timer, giving time for the user on the other side to answer the chat that I just started. So while I'm waiting to see that, I can display a certain message, something like, please wait while we connect you to somebody, or advertise one of your new releases, something like, while you're waiting, why don't you check out our pricing page to take a look at the new discount pricing, or something like that. Anything that you want to say, anything that people can read in a few seconds, because your guy is going to answer the chat soon. So you don't want a paragraph there. You want the message to be brief and to the point. The busy message again is going to be shown when the visitor starts a chat, but nobody in your company answers them because they were away from the desk, or they didn't see it, or they were on the phone. So many things. So if the chat is online, the visitor fills it up and starts a chat but doesn't get a response, and the chat times out eventually, this message is shown. And the other important things that you can take a look at is under the offline section. So I'm just going to cancel this here. In the offline section, this message is going to be shown to visitors whenever you're away. So as I said, we've customized the message here to say something like, our working hours are between so and so time, Pacific. So people know that if they want to chat with us live, they have to catch us between 9 and 6 Pacific time. So this is something you can say. In other cases, any other message that you want to show to them, you can do that. The restriction, of course, is that it should be within 2 lines, like you see here. We don't want to show paragraphs because that doesn't really look good and people just don't read them. And the offline response message is shown to a visitor after they read this message and still choose to leave you a message anyway. So they leave you a message despite that. Now you show them a thank you message and you promise them, or you tell them something like when you can get back to them, or maybe point them to a faster way to connect to you if they don't want to wait. So there are different things that you can customize here. Both are done under widget. In the case of widget, it's under content, and in the case of the chat window, it's under response messages. So you have to learn to be able to toggle between these two sections. People often miss them, and also be able to press this button. So that takes care of all the messages that you can customize on the chat widget. So recapping, we have seen how to upgrade your chat widget's appearance from the old to the new. I've shown you a sample of an old chat widget appearance, how you can click try now to upgrade, and how you need to replace the code to be able to truly change the settings and the appearance on the website. We also mentioned how the chat widget's appearance is not the only thing that was been upgraded. In even the speed and the performance have seen a major upgrade. So that's number two. And we have also seen how, although there are two different boxes here, the second box does everything for you. The code that's given here does both chat and tracking together. And the code you see here is also the same thing. There's no difference. The reason why we have split them is to give you an option to turn one or the other off should you want to by clicking the I symbol here. So that is the only reason we have split them up into two. And number four is the ability to be able to message your staff. That is something that you can give to your email recipients. So you add the chat widget shortcut on an email you send to them, and it gives them a shortcut to connect to your website or your support staff directly. So those are the main points that we covered. The last one, of course, is to customize the chat widgets, display messages under both widget and chat window sections. So with that, we come to the end of the webinar.